Keto Nana and the Dreaded Stall. Hey y'all, Keto Nana here today. Kind of doing a little John and Yoko-ish type behavior. I'm having a bed in, and so I'm recording from my bed. Today I want to talk about the dreaded stall. If you have been on keto for any length of time, you've experienced this. And if you haven't experienced yet, you are going to experience it. There comes a time, whether you're on keto or any plan, where it just stops working. On that normal type dieting plan where you're decreasing calories and increasing exercise, it's really very hard to break free of that stall because you've already decreased your calories quite a bit. There's a limit to how much you can without starving. And having all those cravings and everything, because on the normal type diet, you're not reducing your carbs per se. You're not really, you may be reducing your calories, but you don't have to really reduce your carbs. And so we, as people who are sneaky on diets, always manage to squeeze in what we want. So on a normal, standard American diet type plan, it's very hard to break through a stall because you're traumatizing your body. If you try to do more exercise, you're actually causing more stress, which can raise your cortisol level, which just, it's a horrible, nasty feedback loop that you're in, that it just gets harder and harder to lose weight. The beautiful thing about keto is that, yes, you will hit a stall because everybody's body gets, kind of used to the status quo. You get kind of to a set point. And you need to shake it up. And there's lots of things that you can do to shake it up. You can actually preemptively shake it up. A lot of people do. Just kind of proactively change things up every once in a while, maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever, so that their body doesn't get into a rut. Your body doesn't quite know what to expect. And that's good. That's good for losing weight. And it's actually good for your morale too, to kind of change it up a little bit. It can get really boring if you're eating the same thing, doing the same thing over and over again. It can be quite a drag. So if you find yourself that, you're not noticing scale changes, or even if you're not seeing scale changes, you're not seeing changes in the way your clothing fits you, because oftentimes we don't see scale changes all the time. Fat cells fill up with fluid, and then finally when they realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm not going to actually fill this up with fat, it flushes the fluid, and then sort of you have like this, it seems almost like an overnight weight loss, when in reality you had been losing all along. That's why your clothes are fitting you better. Scale's not changing because your fat cells are filled with fluid, but finally when they get the idea that this is not, we're not going to be filling it up with fat, they flush, and the scale shows the change. So that's sort of what happens, where if you're not seeing the scale change, but clothes are fitting you better, you're not in a stall if that's happening. If the scale's not changing and you're not seeing change in how your clothes are fitting, and you haven't, like a week or two have gone by, or a month, or 2 months have gone by. I've heard people have, 6-month stalls, and that it just drives me crazy to hear that. And I'm like, well, why? There are things you could do. So I'm here to share things that you can do, things you can preemptively do if you haven't experienced a stall. So number one, we've talked about intermittent fasting as sort of a natural progression. What you may want to do is actually do a 24-hour fast, and maybe just have some MCT oil, like have fat bomb, bulletproof coffee or bulletproof tea, or MCT oil in whatever, and maybe some broth. 24 hours, 48 hours. If you can go a little bit longer, even better. But 24 hours is good start, because basically that means you've eaten your dinner the night before, and then you just go through till dinner the next day. And so for most people, not having breakfast, skipping lunch, especially if you have like bulletproof coffee, bulletproof tea, or some broth, is very doable, and it's not too traumatic, because you don't really want to stress your system. The idea is to not upset, not get your cortisol levels up. So you're really trying to be pretty gentle about it. So if you're going, if you're used to, or you have been able to go 18-6, go 24, 22, 2 for your feeding cycles. Try to stretch it out so that you have like a 24-hour fast. And then if you can go 2 days, even better. If you could do one 24-hour fast a week, great. That's changing things, and don't make it the same day. I don't know if your body knows it's Wednesday or not, but why risk it? So one day have your 24-hour fast on Tuesday, next day have it on Thursday, maybe one weekend go, do a 48-hour fast. Mix it up. Don't always be doing the same thing. So that's one thing. Fasting, extending your intermittent fasting, doing legitimate fasting. Another area that is sort of we don't like to talk about being lazy, but I can get very lazy. Carbs can kind of creep up, or bad eating habits can kind of creep up. So in the beginning, for the first 4 months, I have to say, because I'm in 5.5 months now, I tracked everything religiously. I have not been tracking religiously for the past month or so. If a special occasion day is coming up and I want to make sure that I don't, that I really stick within my carbs, or that I'm trying to, if it fits my macros type thing, situation where it's not 100% keto, but I know it will fit my macros, but I want to make sure that I don't go over, I'll track. But I'm not rigorous about it like I was. And one of the things I was thinking about stalling, and I haven't stalled yet, or I have had stalls earlier where I've had to do these things. I'm not in a stall right now, but I'm about to embark on a trip overseas, and I think I need to start tracking, because I think it's going to be very difficult, especially with the change in time zones. You get tired. I'm going to start tracking this week and through my trip. My trip is about 2 weeks long, so I'm going to track for about a month. But it did make me think that, oh yeah, it's easy to have kind of things slip up where your carb intake might be creeping up, or your protein level might be creeping up. And protein, we know excess protein, gets broken down to glucose, and that's what your body's going to use first. Not a terrible thing in the grand scheme of things to have a little more protein is not bad. But if you're having some issues, you want to know, how much protein are you having? Are you having enough fat? Because I have talked before how difficult it has been for me at times to get enough fat per day. And so now that I'm not tracking, am I getting enough fat each day? Could I be doing even better weight loss wise than I'm doing now if I actually was tracking? So I'm going to go back to tracking. I'm going to take my own advice, go back to tracking. Another thing to think about is, what about sweeteners? A lot of people crave sweet things. It's human nature, to crave sweetness. Whereas babies were born with that desire for sweet things. Breast milk is sweet. It satisfies a need for us. But here's the thing. Are you very insulin resistant? Are you very, susceptible to triggers and cravings, that sweet things, whether or not it's Truvia, stevia, erythritol, which is in the list of things you can have, versus Splenda, sweet and low, which is in the list of things you shouldn't have. Does it trigger stuff? Think about that. Number two, maybe you have been experiencing good weight loss and feeling better, and you've kind of broadened what you are eating, or you've gone out, you're starting to go out to eat more, and you're having things with Splenda in it. Splenda can affect blood glucose. For some people, not everybody. For some people, it's totally fine, no problem. But if you've hit a stall and you start tracking what have you been having, and you're having sweeteners, artificial or natural, that may be it. and you might need to cut it out for a while. Doing a fast is a really good way of cutting out sweeteners, because you're just automatically cutting out the things that you would be putting the sweetener in. So you may want to do that. And going one day might help you to go another day without sweetener, or another day, if you think that's what's happening. So if you're experiencing a stall, there are, 3 things that I would recommend that you do right off the bat. 1, extend your intermittent fasting to at least a 24-hour fast, if not longer. 48 is good. 2, get back to your apps and track your macros, because things may have gotten out of wonk for a little bit, simply because, you're feeling better with the way the keto is, you know what foods you're supposed to have, and things are just kind of sneaking in that everybody does it, special occasions come, or you're eating out more. One of my things that I have to now eliminate because I think that it's triggering cravings is Carb Smart chocolate ice cream, which is possibly the most delicious ice cream known to mankind. It was created by angels, and it's delightful, and I'm not overselling it. I think it's delicious. It does not have any aftertaste. It's great. I really should get money from them because I've promoted it to so many people in my family. The problem is it's made with Splenda. I don't think it's affecting my weight loss, although it, maybe it could be better than it has been. But it definitely affects my desire to have more sweet things. And I actually went out the other night at 8 o'clock at night. I said to my husband, "Gotta go, I'm going to get some ice cream." That's crazy. 8 o'clock at night, and I'm running out to the store simply to get some Carb Smart ice cream. And I'm only 5 feet tall. It was way at the back of the shelf. I had to go get somebody to get it down for me. I feel like that might be a sign of addiction, that I so desperately need it, because it wasn't like we were having people over and I needed some dessert or something that we all could share together. This was like my own personal, I must have this ice cream. And I'm not an ice cream person. Like, I've never been really triggered to have ice cream. So that was kind of an eye-opener to me. So look at, start recording your macros. If you haven't been, start. If you've lapsed, start it up again. Be honest about the sweeteners that you're having, what effect they're having. You might even want to keep like a little food journal, just for a couple of days or a week to see, what affects you, like what triggers you. We don't always know until we look back sort of at the written word, what it is that, started it all. I think this Carb Smart ice cream has started sort of this craving for other sweeteners. So in my food journal, write down that I had it on, Monday night. And then Tuesday, what was I, did things go out of whack a little bit? Or Wednesday, did things go out of whack? I haven't been testing my blood glucose or ketones. I've kind of stopped doing that. I think it's a good idea every once in a while to test it, see how you're doing. So that needs to be kind of on the list of things to check a little bit. If you've had a stall, you have to kind of go back to the beginning and say, I'm going to go at this hard and heavy, but I'm also going to change things up a little bit, because clearly my body has gotten adjusted, and this is sort of a normal fluctuation that happens, and I don't recommend killing yourself with exercise or reducing your calories, because both of those are really stressors on your body, and in the overall desire to lose weight are not healthy ways to go. So what I do think is fasting, which is cleansing for the spirit and the body, and then go back to your normal keto diet, with your normal amount of calories. Incorporate fasting into your repertoire. Look at the sugars that you're having, the sweeteners, whatever variety you're having. Maybe that's causing some kind of, affecting your insulin resistance or whatever. But pay attention to that. Keep a food log, track your macros, and see what happens, and give yourself a couple of weeks. Remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. You're going to have all kinds of terrain. You're going to have ups and downs. Not every day and every week is going to be a success. And you did not get overweight overnight, and you're not going to lose it overnight. So you're in it for the long haul. Keep the faith. You can do it. Keto on. And until next time, take good care of yourself. Bye.